Who is your biggest inspiration?
I think my biggest inspiration has always been it was my mom, because I would say from a very early age, I started sewing when I was 5, and she would always make sure it was done properly. And when we moved from Brazil, she had loads of like dresses that my aunt, because my aunt used to do alterations for the elite cariocas and whatever, so it was impeccably cut. And I would take everything apart and do it again. And I remember her do a hem of a dress with a machine, and then she'll take it apart and make me do it by hand. So it's that learning that I was raised with. It was like either you do it right or you don't do it at all. So I would say my mom, in terms of inspiration, has been, monumental.
So, have you always knew that you wanted to be a designer, or what made you be a designer?
Right. I know. I think now, as I get older, it's amazing how things come back to you. I would have either been. There's several things I could have been, and I think at that point in time there was nothing else, especially being raised in Africa, that you could do that was respectable and I could get away with, in terms of my dad accepting. Music was out of the question. Dancing was a complete no-no. And then in hindsight now, when I look back, I remember I would draw up from cover to cover, do a whole magazine, with adverts and pictures and whatever. So it was either going to be that publishing. I was like, why didn't I ever go into publishing or whatever? It was interesting that there were several things that I could have done. But then I started sewing at a very early age, and dressing up and sewing has always been that, so it's always been there. And I think at a point in time, it just kind of happened. It was just a progression. And then I got a job as soon as I left secondary school as a design assistant. And I've never done anything else. So I think, yes, it was destined to be. I never fought it, I never thought about it. Yes. It just kind of happened.
So when you studied, did you have some kind of study, or you just...
Yeah, of course I did. I did do a fashion course. I did a fashion course in Ghana, I did a fashion course here in South Africa. But I think my main education was on the job. My main education was curiosity, taking things apart and discovering how it's done. And I love understanding techniques. So it's like, I want to see how this was achieved. And I've done that with clothes, I've done that with shoes, I've done that with bags. It's always that thing, anything that has to do in the realm of fashion. But it comes to a computer, whatever, forget it. I don't want to know how it works once it works. So that's, for me, in terms of education, the art, and then the fashion courses I did. But then most of it has been like purely from work and being inquisitive.
So why did you decide to come here in Cape Town?
Cape Town was, I think I had done some African countries, and I think Cape Town was the next step. I think, one, there's a big creative class here. It was still in Africa, because at that point in time I was at a crossroads. Is it going to be Europe? Is it going to be Brazil? Or is it going to be here? Brazil at that point in time wasn't really kind of working then. Cape Town, I had been to Cape Town once or twice for fashion shows, and I fell in love with Cape Town. It's the kind of place you come, you fall in love with. And it was like, okay, let's see how it works. I've never really planned or said, this is what I'm going to do. I've just been kind of spontaneous and going with the heart.
So have you ever considered one day maybe going to Brazil?
Definitely. It's been on the cards. It's something I know it's going to happen eventually. I'm in the process of doing that gradually now. The landscape has changed in Brazil, and I think whether I like it or not, it's the whole family settled here in Africa, but I still feel there's something about me that, you know, it just keeps, every year it says I need to go back. And I think eventually it's gonna happen.
So you do only the design part, or you do the cutting and sewing?
I do everything when I need to. There's certain things only I would do. There's certain dresses that I would. There is a design path in my head. It's not. There's no plan, and it evolves almost like a sculpture. So I'm taking that and I add in that and I start building it up. To try and explain that to someone will be frustrating. So for me, I just sit down and do that. And I find constructing garments like that tranquil for me. I think that would be the word. I'm at peace when I'm doing that. I love working when everybody's gone on Saturdays and Sundays, and I'm in a space, you know, music, and I'm just creating. For ready to wear, you know, we have it outsourced, or I have people that do it. But then there's certain things that I think for me the joy is actually making it, not the finished garment. So I love going through the process and the techniques and discovery, oh, this would work, this would be more interesting, which I cannot explain to a seamstress, and I think would remove part of the fun and make it up. So I think that's, for me, that's, I balance everything. So I do across the board, most of it.
You design clothes for women and for men.
Yeah.
What do you think it's easier, or you like it more?
Now that's a tough one. Easier, men. It's straightforward. It's certain basic shapes, and I know it works. There's no extras. More fun, women. Because with women it's more a fantasy. It's more, you're telling a story. You're creating a different persona. So I can develop or create anything I want. With men you have the rules. It's going to be a jacket, a shirt, da, da, da. With women it can be anything. And how you're going to do it, that's what's going to make it different. So it's easier with men, but with women it's just, it's fun. It's creating. For women it's more interesting.
So
Yes.
I would like to ask you, what made you think that you are different from the other designers? What do you think is more like your own signature?
I would not say different. Every designer has his own unique touch or thing they do. I wouldn't know. I guess someone has to tell me. I've never been one of those designers that, oh, this is my style, or no. I see myself more of an artist before a designer. You know, I come more from art. Not that I'm trying to create art. I work in terms of creating beautiful garments. So it's more like the old school designers where it's that creative process. Now I'm staring to a lot more constructed, very intricate for the women, which, you know, I'm seeing happen over and over again, and it's taking several elements to build one garment as opposed to just a flat piece of fabric and making it. For the men, what makes it different is my menswear is very edgy, and you need to be able to love dressing, and you don't mind standing out. And that's my kind of menswear. It's like you walk in and everybody goes, yes. You know, and that's it. It's a look, it's a whole package, you know. So I don't know, I would not be able to, when people say, what is their style? I've never really sat down to say, oh, this is my style, so to speak.
But what kind of women do you dress? What kind of personality do they have?
very strong. You have to be very strong, very. You have to know. There's a certain inner strength. You know, a woman that doesn't mind dressing up in the morning to drop the kids at school. You know, it's not wear the jeans in it. I want to dress up because I want to dress up. Not the Barbie doll kind of dressing, but very strong. So it's, I would say, where like in Portuguese it would be a deusa, you know, to be a goddess. In English I would say diva. Independent. And I can't swear. Kind of, I would say kick-ass. You know, she knows she looks good. It's got nothing to do with her shape or whether she's a size this or, because I've seen women that are like, that carry themselves well and they're like a 16 and whatever. It's that presence, that inner strength, and she knows she looks good, and that's the whole thing, and she works that outfit to the bone. And I think that's what, for me, in terms of, those are the kind of women, you know, I know I attract in terms of dressing. You know, those are the kind of women that would work my clothes.
So now that you're a successful designer,
am I?
do you have some kind of dream that you would like to accomplish?
Brazil is definitely on the cards. I really want to. Brazil is still at a point where it's amazing. I'm not sure if I'm right, but I've not on any of the major fashion shows. There is no like Black Brazilian designer, which in this day and age is really, you know, should not be happening. But then US is the same thing, so I'm not going to stress myself. Brazil definitely on the cards, and for Africa, I've always wanted to. And it's something I've spoken to some of my friends. It's a museum for African fashion. I have seen it evolve. I have lived in several African countries and have seen where designers have worked from nothing using the traditional African fabrics, and they've been able to get notoriety. I've seen the difference between what you have the French, the Francophone designers from Côte d'Ivoire and all that do compared to designers here. And it would be interesting to have somewhere where you can map and say this is where it all started from. And this is, Africans love dressing. You dress when you're in mourning. In Ghana they have the traditional cloth they wear in red and black, which it's a big thing. Adinkra, it's for mourning. You dress when you're celebrating. Someone is getting married, and in Nigeria and also in Ghana, more Nigeria, you have where all your friends would wear an outfit done with the same fabric. You know, in Ghana again, and also in Côte d'Ivoire, when you expectant mother before she gives birth and when she gives birth, there's a traditional cloth in blue and white which you wear, and your outfit's made from that fabric. So it's just kind of, you know, Africans have all that story to tell, which, whether we like it or not, influences fashion as it is now. And also now, it's gradually changing, because you now have many young Africans that have been raised internationally, love their Louis Vuitton and Louboutins, but would do that with an African print and throw on a Fendi jacket. So that is interesting to see, because this is their pride in terms of me, my traditional cloth, but this is my international thing in terms of the shoes and labels, and so that play is very interesting to see, you know. So that story needs to be told, and we even have to and then go back into the textiles here in Africa, which is, you know, it's amazing from country to country how it changes. So it's something that the museum is something that I really, it would be great to see happen, to tell a story.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.